You are now tuning in to the Val and Val Show, where conversation is art. Conversation is art. Conversation is art. You should chime in. Ain't no telling what to spark on the Val and Val Show. Ain't no telling the Val and Val Show. You know, ain't no telling where we go on the Val and Val Show. Ain't no ceiling, cause the art of conversation is the flow. It's that creativity available when we speak, available in our homes, available in the streets. We just trying to get it sparking and take it a little deeper. Keep it casual while fireside chatting with our people. Yeah, we take it a little deeper. It get hot when we fireside chatting with our people. Cause conversation is art. Conversation is art. You should chime in. Ain't no telling what'll spark on the Val. The Val and Val Show. The Val and Val Show.
Yep. That's what it is. That's what it is. The
Val and Val Show.
Yo, you better know it. What's up, y'all? We're glad you all could make it in here to see us and to hear us and to join us. We got a fire show for you tonight. I am super pumped.
Fire! Boom, boom.
Not exactly, but okay. Make sure you keep that day job.
Don't be hating on me.
I ain't hating on you. I ain't hating. I'm just trying to save you the embarrassment of folk calling you, trying to double book you the scene when you ain't got time because you at the hospital saving lives. That's all. What's up, y'all? Y'all doing good? We hope everybody's doing well tonight.
Everything is going good. We're doing great. As Valton said, we're excited about tonight. Look, this guest we have on tonight, honey, it's been a struggle. You got to get in where you fit in.
Where
and
you
look,
fit what in?
And tell you how bad we wanted him. I'm officially on vacation.
Yep.
But this was the night he was available, so you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do it.
So look, I'm just going to tell you all, I do have a connection with this young man coming up. His mom and I, we were born and raised in the same hometown, so he has an Alabama connection by way of Atmo, if you want to call it that too.
Atmo in the house.
And so we're just so happy. And this is something you all, Valton and I have been trying to bring on different things for us to consider, especially our community, for our children to pursue outside of football, basketball, the traditional things. Right. And this is definitely something different. So look, tonight, you all, we have a phenomenal young man, Mr. Myles Rowe. He's an up-and-coming Indy race car driver. Okay, he is on the road to Indy, and he's going to get there. Just a little background, and I'm going to let him share most of it with you. Myles was chosen by Roger Penske Equality Initiative to be their first inaugural driver, okay? But the most phenomenal thing about that is, guess what? Myles had been off the racetrack for 5 years. And for him to come back, not have driven in that time, and to be selected as their driver was just amazing. So that's all I'm going to say about Myles right now. I'm going to let him tell you about him because he knows himself better than anybody. Ain't that right? So come on, Myles. Hello there.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Hey, man, what's happening?
Good. And then, there you go, Myles. Just shift a little bit to the right. So I want the people to see you and everything. So how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on. I've been just enjoying the off season, getting ready for the new season with Pabst Racing and the Pro 2000 car.
Oh, and what a season it was! What a season it was, and we would get all into that. So you all look, share it with all your friends because they are going to want to be a part of this interview. And if they can't hear it tonight, make sure they watch it later. So Myles, let's just do a little background with it. First of all, tell the people where you're at right now. Where are you talking to us from?
Yeah, right now I'm talking to you guys out of Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, I'm about 30 minutes outside of Manhattan, and that's where I live
Okay.
currently right now.
Okay. So tell the people how you got there. How did you end up in New York? It wasn't a race for sure.
No, yeah, definitely not. Yeah, you don't come to New York to race. I originally came here for one to just connect more with creative people out in the world, and then second of all, I really came here for school to get my film degree at Pace, and yeah, so I ended up residing in the dormitories in Financial District in Pace University for about 2 years, and yeah, that was really nice. And then I lived over on the west side of Manhattan, a little bit more uptown for my first apartment, and then yeah, I've been living with two of some of my best friends in Brooklyn for the past year and a half, approaching a year and a half now, and yeah, I've just been going to college for the past 4 years until I graduated, and yeah, now just working on different photos and different ideas for films now after the racing season's over. Since I've been here, and yeah, New York's just it's a great place for that. One of the best for sure.
So you've already graduated.
Correct.
Okay, cool. So
Hey, what's
Myles,
your,
you know, I'm
ask
really
him what I wanted to ask him his degree. What was your degree in, Miles?
Film and screen studies.
all right. Cool.
Okay, y'all heard that right. Race car driver, film and screen studies. Okay,
Yeah.
very different things there, but so I
So
want you to pay attention to that because that's going to matter later.
so Myles, oh, it's gonna be a test. No, no. So Myles,
Yes.
walk us through where you were in your mental, how you got to be a race car driver. I mean, come on, dude. I'm gonna cut to the chase. A black Indy car driver, open wheel race car driver. What's up with that, brother?
Yeah. I mean, it like most it especially most kids my age, it started from the TV. I was actually watching golf with my dad on the TV when I was about 5, 6 years old, and we were changing the channels because commercials came on, and Formula One came on at the time, and I told him to keep it there, and we ended up watching the rest of the race. We didn't watch any more of the golf match actually that day,
Wow.
and that was how I actually discovered the sport myself
Mhm.
as a kid. And then after that, that's when I started to pay attention more to Hot Wheels and Walmarts and Targets and Toys R Us's and things like that, and pay more attention to movies like Speed Racer,
Mhm.
and like the Need for Speed games and things like that. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, that was how I originally got my foot in the door. Was able to
Okay.
drive a car at least virtually, and then once I realized, well, I found a way because racing's super expensive.
Mhm.
Most people don't, well, they don't even really think about it, but racing's a pay to play sport, and so it takes even to get into go karts just to understand the sport correctly. It takes anywhere from 2 to 5K. Normally
Yeah.
if you're gonna get a cart that actually drives correctly. So we couldn't get that. We couldn't get the first cart to get me in the door to actually race with these kids. But there was actually an indoor go karting league called Pro Cup Karting at Andretti Indoor Karting.
Mhm.
It's a venue that's they have a few in Georgia and maybe a few others down in the southeast. But essentially, I was able to go to this indoor go karting track, which had arcade games and bar and restaurant and all these other things amongst it because it's really for the public to just go and have fun. It was an entertainment place, and but they actually had a league going on, and it was about $300 and something for a whole season. And mind you, like that got you maybe one set of tires, which might have lasted you maybe like 2 sessions,
Two races. Yeah.
on a race weekend. But that got you like a whole championship there. So that was my ticket into the door of the motorsports industry, and we actually won that championship, the very first championship. And so that's how I got my hands on the steering wheel. But it all started from the television set, just watching TV with my dad, and yeah, just it was just making the steps and making and not making sure consciously as a kid, obviously, but hitting all the passion points, getting to the
Mhm.
point where I see it and then I research what it is, and then I want to look into the products that are involved in such activity, and then to actually researching how I could actually get involved and be a part such activity. And yeah, all the steps kind of came together.
Okay, now Myles, I gotta bring in the tidbits of what I know just from being your mom's friend. Now, tell the people about you shopping for cart and dropping them into the shopping cart and what your parents were doing. I'm gonna put them
Yeah.
on blast. I'm gonna put them on blast.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Yeah, so when I was I've always been, one to think anything's possible. So when I was a kid, I would look at, I would do a lot of research into what, most people had, in terms of getting into go-karting, and I'd make that list and I'd look in, all the go-karting shops online and put a list together and figure out, the cost. And I still remember, I literally did it every morning because I was like, maybe dad might buy it this today. And it literally added up to about 21,000 something every time. It was absurd. It was an absurd amount of money. But yeah, I used to do that because I just believed, anything was possible. And if I just, put my head towards it, maybe something will happen. And we didn't get the go-kart, but it pushed me to actually dig deeper and find, another way around it, think out the box. And yeah, I found the indoor go-karting, in return. And honestly, I think half the skills I have today that helped me last year and, winning certain races and things like that, I think half of them truthfully came from indoor go-karting. So yeah.
Okay, Myles,
Did
with,
you,
with,
did
with,
you,
with that said, I got to show the people something real quick, Beth. I'm going to pop a picture up. Oh, look at there.
Yeah, that's me in my first go-kart. Oh, that's nice.
how old were
Yeah,
you
that
there?
was say it one more time.
How old were you there?
I was 14, so this was about 2 years after I started indoor go-karting. And yeah, this was actually my very first race, and it was kind of thrown into the fire, because as you see, like the three different kart chassis there, they're the same brand. So this was a national race. It was held in Kershaw, South Carolina, and essentially you had all these different factory teams show up, teams like that one, like Top Kart, teams named Burrell and Merlin, and all these weird, names for these karting teams. And yeah, all these crazy national drivers who've been, racing, some since 8, some since 5, some since 3, and like national champions since those ages. And yeah, we went into our first karting event doing that after indoor go-karts, and which is, if you ask anyone in motorsports, it's a big jump. It's hard to do that because of just the different ways you drive, the two different styles of karts. But yeah, it was a really fun experience because I got to it again. I think those little experiences in the beginning of my career like really developed me to be the person I am, because I didn't have any, lousy competition. There was no easy races for me. It was cutthroat from the absolute beginning. I did not do any local races or anything before this first race. It was the absolute first one, and it taught me a lot. And I'm pretty sure I finished in the back in both of the final races for that weekend. But yeah, it was good and it was fun. And yeah, it was definitely one of the milestones in my career for me, for my parents, going from indoor karts to the actual karts, and racing in that level of competition. One of those drivers that I was racing with, that's actually on my team, is an IndyCar, for example, right now. So it was just it was a good stepping stone for us in our career path.
So
And Myles, who
what
was
you
someone
do
you
with
met while
race
you were
like that?
karting? I'm sorry, Valton.
Someone I met. I
Yeah.
heard you. Someone I met. So David Malukas, who I was referring to in IndyCar. I've known him, ever since my first race. We didn't talk too much until about a year into the outdoor karting scene. And then my dad and his dad, became familiar with each other, and we were under the same tent a lot, so it was easy to connect and everything like that. But him and his dad have always been extremely nice people, extremely respectable people, and yeah, like so all the way through karting, we knew them. Even their tuner was really nice, and we talked to them, and they helped us kind of navigate and show us the ropes a little bit more, because we were very new to it, and we jumped straight into it, which is very hard to do.
Great.
And yeah, so they were extremely helpful people, and and they even help us to this day now, just in the car scene now, in the auto racing scene.
So when you were getting involved in the transition from karting to the Formula One, I guess the open wheel, is that what you all call it, Formula One?
We call it open wheel is a better word.
Okay. So do they train you to drive that car that fast? Or how did you get acclimated?
To the current car that I'm driving?
Yes.
There's a little bit of a training. So they have these schools, essentially, which they have 3 days and 2 days, and they kind of show you the ropes of how to drive essentially a vehicle with suspension, because essentially the difference between a go-kart, yes, it's smaller, but the main difference is there's no suspension on the chassis, which essentially creates different balance balance changes in a corner, which could create something catastrophic, obviously. So
how fast does that thing go?
The one I do right now can go about 155-ish. The one I did before could hit about 140, 145 maybe on a good day. And then the go-karts could go about 75. Yeah. So yeah, so there was a little introduction though where they did the 3-day schools, and they have these different instructors who have raced before, who have been coaches for a long time. They have all the data from everyone there. It's called the Lucas Oil Formula Ford School. It's what I did, and they just take you through the ropes. They do all these different kind of drills and exercises, and it kind of helps you get acclimated, because it takes you time to get, just like when you step into a rental car or something. It takes you time to get acclimated to even just your visual surroundings, not to mention what you feel. So it kind of helps you do that over like the first day, and then you get used to how the pedals feel, how the suspension actually reacts, and then it takes you to the last day where you learn to, let's say drive it faster or fast. And then that's what everyone does to get their first step, their first license to racing, especially open wheel racing. And then after that you're just kind of thrown into the fire. It's a pay to play sport, so those who are brave, those are the ones who take the glory, who have the skill to. And then you just go in with your team, and you have preseason, so you have test days and other things like that. And then luckily, we do have the simulator. Simulations have become they're priceless now for a racing driver. Essentially, I mean, a test day in an actual car testing auto racing can be anywhere from $1,000 to $10K. But simulator, you can spend. I mean, you take one test day out your schedule, essentially you can pay for a simulator where you can practice every day. So it gets expensive to test. So that's what we have simulation for. So that helps a lot, break the barrier with, not knowing how the car will react. But after that, it's just the preseason test days, which aren't a lot. You might have 3 or 4 test days. And then, you go into the season and see what you got. Which is why I say indoor go-karting helped me a lot, because the thing with indoor go-karting is you have so many different, you pick numbers for what cart you get, because you don't own the cart. It's not like an outdoor go-kart where you come with your equipment. You use other people's equipment. So, and it's a sport where the equipment dictates your success. So you pick numbers because naturally one cart might be faster, one might be slower. And so because of that, they have different handling tendencies. So when I was driving in indoor go-karts and in the outdoor karts too, because we were also picking those karts as well before I got my own, you learn to adapt to the handling characteristic of that cart a lot faster, because you're forced to, because you're going in a race, because these points are on the line. That next session, it's not you have a whole day or a whole weekend to figure out how to learn the car. You have that one session, you have that 5 minutes before this last lap counts for you to be in the front row, sort of a thing. And so it never really was a problem for me. I think that's also why it wasn't a crazy problem for me after coming back in the car after 4 years and being fast, because I kind of, as soon as I got started in my racing career, I was forced to learn to adapt as fast as I could and push myself every single time I got in the go-kart. So I mean, it's definitely something that is at least comparing to other sports, is a disadvantage to hop in the car, super quickly. But it's just where the brave kind of fortune, takes some fortune over in that instance.
Well, you know what, Miles, how I feel about that. I just feel like God wired you that way because you started much later than many of your competitors. You know, you people you were competing with. So hey, he made it up in the talent that he gave you, and that's how I view it. Now, let me ask you this: you were also very fortunate when you were carded to meet one of the big powerhouses in the car. So share that with us about when you met the big famous, and I'm gonna let you tell us who he was.
Yeah, Willpower. So I met Willpower at the go-kart track in Mooresville, North Carolina. This was when I was 14. This was when the picture of the cart you showed. That was actually um, my first day in that cart was when I met him for the very first time, and it was a crazy experience. First day in the cart. We were running it for a little bit during the day, but then luckily the track has lights, which a lot of go-kart tracks actually don't. So you can run that track at night. And so we were running at night for a little bit, and then Will was there, naturally at night because less people. And then so he was on the. It turns out he came out on the track with me. I didn't even know he was going on the track that session. I'm pretty sure. And I remember looking behind and hearing a noise and seeing him, and it's Willpower behind me. And then he bumps me. He didn't even try to pass me, which really confused me. And then he passed me, which made sense naturally, like he's gonna pass me. And then it really got crazy because he passed me. He went for about a lap or so, and then he let me by again. And then so I was really confused because he was obviously a little bit quicker. It was my first day in the outdoor cart, so I was going through all those like changes, having to switch from the indoor cart to my actual cart. So I was a little slow, but I think he knew that it was my first day, and I would, like I said, I adapt pretty quickly. So I think I was driving it a lot faster than a new kid in a go-kart would. So I think he was interested by what he saw on the track. So he slowed up, let me pass him, and then he was bumping me and following me and putting pressure on me through this practice session at nighttime. And then there was one time where I got a run on him after he passed me, and he was kind of in front of me, showing me the lines at that point. And then I passed him in this one corner. I think he was like trying to get me to, and I passed him. It was the craziest thing. And then we did that again for another session, and then he talked to me. He talked to me after those sessions, and he's just a really nice guy. Like, it was just that there's been so many moments because he's my mentor now. A lot has happened after that. Yeah, a lot has happened after that. He's my mentor. Essentially, for my first IndyCar race I ever saw, I was in Birmingham, Alabama, and he was there and he remembered me. We followed each other on Instagram, which meant I can message him. All the way after I was done racing, like the 4 years after my hiatus, I messaged him if there was just anything he knew that might be right for me, someone who might need a driver. Force Indy needed a driver, and that's how everything trickled into me driving for Force Indy, and then essentially me driving for Paps last year. But yeah, every moment he's shown me it's just he doesn't have to be nice like that. He's one of those people where he just gives extra energy, and you don't know why. But yeah, that's just the person he is, and I just have so much respect for him, and he teaches me so much, and yeah, he's a huge inspiration for me. And yeah, he's just an unreal kind of person.
Well, cool, man.
Yeah.
That's really
And,
awesome.
and I would like to.
It's really interesting how you have gone and shown us a whole nother way of life in terms of racing. Bubba Wallace was the first one I've heard of.
Yeah, Bubba's, he's doing it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Wendell Scott, I'm sure you're aware of who that is, And now we have you, Myles Rowe.
And Myles, some of the comments when you were talking about me with Willpower, someone said it sounded like he was teasing you, which he was. He was pushing you, and I see it like this: he saw what you were capable of, and tapped into that. And I just like to say that was your angel in that moment. And then someone else says it's a great story, prayers and best wishes and God's favor cheering you on. That's my cousins from Florida. And we were rounded up everyone because you all, as Myles said, racing is expensive. Expensive. And with that note, guess what? Myles needs some pocket change when he's out here. He's on the road to Indy. He's not at Indy yet, so ain't nobody writing no big checks to him just yet. We working on that. So I'm finna drop this cash out. I mean, his GoFundMe. You can go look
Thank
at
you.
it. It's legitimate. And I'm going to say
Thank
this
you.
now too, and I'm sure some of you may be watching his last race when it was in Oregon. Correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong. Right?
Yeah.
It was in Oregon, and like he needed some spending money. I put out a call. Y'all showed up. I don't even know who showed up, but he told me, "Auntie, your friends
Yeah.
came through." He said your
Yeah.
friends came through. So
Yeah.
I just
Thank
want
you.
to
Yeah.
thank you
That was
because y'all,
crazy.
we got to pour into this. This is major. This is major. And I'm going to segue into this. His first year out, it wasn't all perfect. It was bumps along the way and a couple crashes along the way.
Yeah.
I was so happy to see him drive here in Birmingham. But even in that, he had his first win. Now, Myles, I need you to educate people about poles and all this stuff. Bring us up on the lingo that's used in racing because it's very different.
Yeah, so my first year, so essentially a pole, like a physical pole, is essentially like qualifying to start first place in the race. And then there's just, first through however many people there are. And then, there's, I mean, that's really it, honestly. I mean, it's really just pole. Like, pole is just the confusing one. Other than that, I mean, like these practice sessions, which is, pretty self-explanatory. Qualifying, which is, setting up the starting grid for the race. And then, the race. Sometimes in go-karts there might be like a heat 1, heat 2, pre-final. Those are just races to determine who starts in the last race.
So we need everybody to get educated, like they did when Venus and Serena came back with tennis. We didn't know nothing. We was looking stuff up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
get educated on racing
No,
because
yeah,
he will be here to
definitely.
stay. He will be here to stay.
Yeah, we all get educated on it for sure.
Another message. Your Aunt Odalie says, "Hey Myles, you're amazing, my champion."
Auntie, love you.
Now, Myles, let me say this. You mentioned that Willpower didn't have to be as kind to you as he has been. And I was thinking that, and when you said, "Hey, Auntie, I love you," and you blew her a kiss, I was going to say the reason why he gravitated his kindness towards you is because the kind of person that I think you are.
Yes.
Based upon what I'm seeing and I'm hearing, it would be hard for anybody not to want to love you and help you.
Yes.
Okay. So I think you are an outstanding young man, young man. So, so you keep doing what you're doing, man. You keep doing what you're doing.
Will do. Yeah. Never stopping.
For sure. So Myles, you started out. You were the first inaugural race car driver. Now tell them what happened because when you won that race, that made you do what? What did you do?
Yeah, I won it, and yeah,
Don't be
basically
mad to say I made history.
Yeah, I made history. I mean, it was cool. Like, I was the first black driver to win an IndyCar sanctioned event, which still is hard for me to say because it's just unbelievable that it was 2021 and no one's done that. So it was just like, it's still hard for me to understand that I've made history like that. But yeah, I made history doing that and showed me like how much there is to do. Because you see Lewis, breaking all these records in Formula One. And it's like, wow, like, as another black driver looking at him, he's breaking all the records. And it's like a lot of things are changing now, but there's still so many different avenues where things still need to be changed. And that was a big wake up for me. Like, wow, like there's still a lot, that needs to happen. And yeah, so like a lot of records need to be broken still here in this industry in IndyCar. Same in NASCAR. A lot of different leagues. And yeah, super proud to, hit that first milestone. Almost hit that second milestone this year with first one to win an IndyCar sanctioned championship. But, we'll do that bigger and better a little bit later.
Yeah.
It's okay. But yeah,
So
it
look,
was
so
super
look,
cool.
so look, let's talk about the transition. So you ended last year and you did not end up on the same team the following year. So you ended up with Pat's Racing. So let's talk about that transition, because now I'll tell you now that 99 car was smoking. It was pretty, and the number 99 had a lot of significance for you, you know. So tell them what the number 99 meant for you when you rode your first year.
Yeah, the number 99, it was a testament to Rajo Jack who ran it way back. I can't remember the date, but I mean it was close to a century ago. And essentially, like, he never won with that number, so we wanted to bring it back, and essentially win with that number, which is what we did in New Jersey, which was awesome.
Now tell people who's Roger Jack, because they don't have a clue.
Yeah, he's an African American driver. I I cannot remember the decade, and I'm so sorry for that. But he's an African American driver who raced way back, and just went through a lot of different struggles, and like I think he tried to run for Indy and they didn't let him, and yeah, he went through a lot of different things. And yeah, we wanted to take his number because he changed his number to 99. I'm pretty sure it was 33 before. And yeah, he never won with the number, and we wanted to bring it back, and celebrate it and try to win with the number. And yeah, New Jersey was just, that it created something crazy there. But yeah, that's what we wanted to do there. Also, another thing with the Force Indy livery, the red tails on the rear wing and the front wing represent the I'm pretty sure P-51 Mustang from the Tuskegee Airmen, which is a fun fact. And yeah, we just wanted to bring some history with the livery for our car. Yeah.
So if you all haven't caught on yet, Myles is first of all, very mature young man, but he's also very strategic. You know, he just didn't pick a number out of the air. He picked the number significantly to honor his heritage. And let's talk about that, because you have a dual heritage as well. We can't forget that. Let's talk about that. Tell people your other heritage. It's not just being here in America, but your dad is from where?
Yeah, my dad's from Jamaica. It's from down south. Yeah, I have some Caribbean in me. Yeah,
Peas, man.
Oh yeah. Yes. And the oxtail. Oh,
yes, some curry goat, some jerk chicken,
everything.
Yeah.
So,
and Myles,
ahead,
you also
Auntie.
honored that. You honored that too in one of your races. I can't remember which one. When you wore, I think you wore the Jamaican flag as well as the U.S. flag and the Jamaican flag as well.
I did that at Mid Ohio. I did it in Ohio for
Okay.
the first time. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I want you all to get this, if nothing else you get from this from Myles. He's honoring. He is honoring. Did you, Myles, you didn't fall out, did you?
Sorry.
Okay. Just want to make sure I want to make sure you're okay. My ER nurse kicked in.
No, I had to plug my laptop in. I forgot it was still on. I'm sorry.
Okay.
She's going to save you from afar.
Look, I sure was. I was going to put it in. Look, I was going to go get Mama and put it in action real quick. So you all listen to that. He's honoring those that poured into him, those that came way before him, that was paving a way for him. With the number 99 in the Tuskegee Airmen with red tails, the barriers that they had to break through, but they kept pushing despite the barrier, knowing that one day, they would get through. Then the other side of it was, with his dad being from Jamaica, he honored his dad and his mom. And look, you all being from Alabama, everybody was so excited for him to be racing. And that was my first time going to a racing event. And look, I'm hooked now. Although my heart was beating about 225 beats per minute as he went around that track.
Hey, Myles,
it's exciting but tough to watch.
She said she's hooked on racing now. That's what she's driving up I-65. Because she's driving she's on a race track.
Oh no! I think I did. Oh no! I did it to you and onto Oakley too, didn't I?
You need to send her a helmet. Man. You need to send her a helmet.
I
Pretty
don't
much, I'm
drive
just
that
saying.
fast anymore. I'm getting older. I don't like taking the risk. Look, Phyllis said she's from Atmore too originally. She said they be rolling. I'm serious. You are every time he took that curve at Barbara, I was like, woo. And I was taking pictures. I was like, I guess I got some shots because I was closing my eyes, but I was able to get through it. It was really exciting. So
So any
now
It
races
is.
coming up?
Indy.
Any races coming up
Uh,
that you're gonna be involved in that we can actually come to?
uh, no. I mean, it's off season. I mean, it's still kind of like a postseason. I mean, I don't even have my next test session until first week in December in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I don't practice until January. First race isn't even until first week in March, I'm pretty sure, in St. Petersburg, Florida. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, don't talk about that street racing. Oh my goodness, my heart be
Uh,
going 400 beats per minute. Then that street racing is ooh,
Now, what is street
yeah.
racing?
like
Say
they
one more
set up a
time.
track in the city.
Oh,
Yeah. They set up the track, and so the first race, it's in the streets of St. Petersburg, but it's a really cool one because one, it's like it goes along a pier, and then also the front straightaway, the main straightaway, is it's a runway for airplanes. So you actually, when you pull into the track, you kind of pull into this mini kind of airport. But yeah, like literally where you clock your times is down the middle of the runway strip. And then it kind of like bleeds into the city, and you kind of, run down the straightaways, hit a right at an intersection, and then you hit another right, and then you're, running down the straightaway with,
that
yachts
sounds
on your
cool.
left. Yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool. I love it. It's definitely like, after doing all the races, I think it's my favorite track. There's a lot of them, and it took me 2 seasons to figure it out. Because every time I went to a track, I would say it's my favorite track. But after going through it twice in a row now, I think that's my favorite race. Because I tend to just work really well on street races. It's also street races, there's not a lot of simulation that can be done for street races. And even when it's done, things change so much on a street race because there's so many different variables going on.
Are there
Okay.
spectators on street racing?
Oh yeah, and the spectators are the best at street races. They are the absolute best.
Okay.
Yeah, the environment, the ambiance of the whole event is the absolute best at street races too, which is also
So
why.
how do they maintain safety for spectators for a street race?
Not
I mean,
enough.
they're definitely the corners, the way they set them up. They actually do it in pretty safe ways, I would say. Grandstands are relatively far back, and they're never, as far as I've seen, they're never in places where a car would typically, you could say, flip over the wall or something. Even if a car were to flip over a wall, the grandstands typically are away from that possibility. Yeah, so they're pretty good with it. They are.
So the grandstands are far enough away so they're safe, but yet close enough to be able to see what's going on.
Right. It's not even far enough away. They're more just adjacent from where an accident could occur. So let's say you have a right-hander. Typically on a street race, instead of being on the left side of the corner on the outside, they'll be on the inside where it's basically impossible for that to happen. Yeah.
Okay.
And some of the people that want to know about some of your race dates, I dropped his web page in the what is it, chat. Make sure you go and follow because we keep that update with his races. And what's the other website they can find it from? Is it US? Oh Lord, I can't remember. Is it USF 2000?
USF Pro 2000.
Okay.
So it's like last year with USF 2000. It stands for United States Formula. So like you were asking earlier, can you say Formula One racing? It's not Formula One. You would just say Formula.
Okay.
So yeah, it just stands for USF Formula, United States Formula Pro 2000.
Okay. Then so I'm putting that up. And just definitely follow him. He's on all the social medias. I dropped all that in the chat already, and you will be up to date. And Phyllis, you're near there. I know you will support. This lady travels all over to support everybody, and she definitely going to support a hometown connection person for sure. Definitely for sure. Okay, now Myles, let's talk about PAPS. How you ended up on the PAPS team and all. And then your number became 22, the transition. Was it somewhat disappointing for you not to be able to remain with where you started, or in your way it was just like, okay, that's life.
You
Moving
mean remain
on.
Force Indy?
Yeah, with Force Indy.
It was so the whole year I was kind of, especially from being out of racing for so long, and the reason why I was out of it, I was always very conscious about the fact that I could I could possibly not race again next year. And that wasn't because I thought anything would happen. I fully believed I'd race again the next year, but just, from the simple fact that anything can happen. So it wasn't really, I wasn't hurt really from not being able to drive on Force Indy anymore, especially since it kind of just happened like out of nowhere. It was more just, yeah, I mean, you could say I was a little, it wasn't even disappointed. I was just a little sad I wasn't going to be with the team anymore. I mean, like, I really like established like kind of a crazy bond with the team over that year, especially because that was their first year. They never had another driver. They never had another crew chief.
Yeah.
It was their first time doing it, just like me. So it was like a really good relationship we all had. And then, yeah, at the end of the year, it was just like, okay, we can't do it again next year like we all thought we would. So that was
Okay.
sad.
So
But
then,
and
y'all,
yeah,
we had to storm heaven again. We look. If nothing else, Myles has had us praying about this race thing. And
yeah,
so after that happened, time went on. Then
yeah.
you get a call.
Yeah. After that time went on, and then turns out the first portion of the season was covered, not the full season, but the portion. So it was there was about 7, 8 events last year, and there was the first three, which covered St. Petersburg, the street race, um, Barber Motorsports Park, which was the home race for Birmingham, Alabama, for all the family, and then the Indianapolis race, the Grand Prix, which is Mr. Pinsky's race, Force Indy's race, and that was we didn't know what was going to happen after that at all. We knew we had to finish every race we could. So like went off in the first race at St. Pete and I wrecked the car.
Yeah, what?
I
He
wrecked the car
wrecked,
the
You
very
wrecked the
first
car.
race. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that wiped out how much of the budget because it costs how much to get those cars
It cost a
repaired.
good bit. I mean, it wiped out I'd say a solid 25%, 30% of the budget. Like it was a hefty wreck. And it was on the last lap. Uh, it was for first place. It was ridiculous. I passed the guy, but then I passed him a little too fast. So essentially, he came back under me. And it wasn't like he could come back under me and he just pulls away. There was another corner pointing the opposite way. So essentially, it was a right left. And long story short, we didn't have room for that next left. And we both just tangled, and yeah, it wasn't even like I hit him, he hit me. It was just we just both didn't have room, and our wheels, because it's an open wheel car, you have the
Right.
wheels exposed. So
Right.
instead of like just fenders rubbing against each other, our wheels like collected, and it like brought our cars together, and it was a whole
So
thing.
they charged you for that wreck?
No, honestly, I don't even know if people can do that. I mean, unless someone offers. They definitely didn't charge me for that, right? So they have to pay for their portion.
So you had to pay for your damage and they pay for their damage.
Yeah,
Right.
I get it.
yeah.
So yeah, that was I don't even know the expression for that. That was just a
Yeah.
lot that weekend. Said a
But
prayer that night.
however, the next
Right.
day,
Right. That night, said a prayer, woke up, just, I honestly, it was such a crazy day. Like, I didn't even care about, I was really like, I might not even drive anymore. I just want to enjoy this drive on this next day. And that's what I prayed about, that I just enjoy it. Essentially because there was just too much pressure. There was a lot of pressure and I just wasn't enjoying the driving anymore and I hated it. So I was just like, Lord, just please help me and just enjoy this next day and be grateful. And I went out and I had a blast. And went from sixth to third in the first lap in the first corner. And then from there it was just, knock them out, past second place on a restart, past first place on another restart. And then I just took it home. And then this season changed after that. And then, it was a good day. Made it a good weekend in the end. And then, after that, I won the next race in Barber, and then had a few solid results after that to get the rest of my season funded, thankfully, which was really nice.
And I could not attend because my son was graduating. But I was there in spirit and praying.
Yeah,
But look, you all, check this out. Okay, Myles being a black person in this race, and it's so funny. We trying to graduate. We still watching the race and doing all this stuff at the same time, right? So when Myles win, and we don't know if they do this all the time for races, but his uncles from Atmore and everywhere was there, and we had rallied the troops, everybody that knew his mom, his uncles, my friends. We had a lot of folks at Barbara. Okay, I think they just let everybody in the pit. They were just like, you know what? Okay, they all here. It's a family reunion. We gotta just roll with it. And I don't have that picture, but it was so beautiful just to see the sea of people that they allow in to just congratulate him. And I was like, I really hated I wasn't there in person to see that, but it was just phenomenal. So with that being said, Myles, hey, once you did that at Barbara, I'm just gonna say it. You smoked the rest of the year. You was smoking around that track. So you had how many races?
It was 18, I believe. I believe it was 18. I won 5 of them. But I won the most races this year, which was good. The guy who won the championship won 4. My teammate won 4. Or did he win 3? I think he won 4. It was a tight season between all of us. It was so tight. I can only remember one other person besides the 3 of us who won a race this year. Because we won collectively. There was only 4 more races for someone else to win. And I know one of the people. I don't know the other ones though. But yeah, it was a good season, and I was looking at the statistics the other day. I think Portland was a weird weekend, and that's why everything kind of went the way it did. But yeah, it was so tight that really the only reason that the championship leader won was because he had 1 less wreck than I did. So essentially my teammate had 5 wrecks. He had 3 wrecks, and I had 4 wrecks. But I had 5 wins, and he had 4 wins. But he had 1 less wreck.
So do you ever find yourself, once you get into your own vehicle and driving down the street, having flashbacks? I can take this next car.
Oh, gosh. Luckily, I don't have flashbacks. That would be bad. That'd be really bad. But yeah, definitely so there's this thing, as a racing driver, it's definitely I have a big thing about momentum. So when I am on the highway or on the street, I have a bad habit with I wouldn't say cutting people off, but just aggressively, lane switching, because I don't want to kill my momentum.
Aggressively.
Okay.
That's called cutting people off.
Some people call it different things. Some people call it different things.
Yeah, I'm sure they do, but you can't hear them when they're calling you that.
Right. I call it keeping my momentum. That's my name for it.
Okay, Val.
Oh, wow. Look at that. I love that one. Hey, look, it sounds like a lot like that time when we heard that word entanglement. Okay, momentum.
Yeah.
Look, Myles, let me ask you this, because our time is running out. So you won 5 races. And I know some people may be out there wondering, well, how did he won 5 races? They won 4. Why did he come in first? They give points. I've learned so much about racing. They have points that's going on through the year. So it's how your points come out at the end of the year. However, with a 5-year absence, 4 or 5 year absence, it is simply amazing, how God has just catapulted you back to the forefront. You had came in karting doing, did well with your karting starting out. And I'm just a firm believer, you all know, for you all that don't know, we quote scripture and do all that on our show, okay? If it's not for you, then just, let it just flow on out of, another place. But to me, God just redeemed that lost time, what seemed to be lost time. It wasn't lost time. You were just in that whole pattern. You finished school, and I want you to talk a little bit, because I know, we have you the first Black, and although you're very astute, very focused, sometimes that can get heavy because you don't want to disappoint people with that pressure. So my prayer has always been for you to just God, just let him relax and not even have that heaviness. Do you feel like now, because you're gonna be heading into year 3, you've kind of like, okay, I am, I was first Black to win an Indy sanctioned car race, and now I can just kind of really lay back and really enjoy and not have that weightiness. And you're very competitive, so I know that that's hard for you not to have some weightiness, but just being Black in this sport, that adds another layer of heaviness.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely a few layers of weighted pressure from being, like you said, being Black in the motorsports industry, um, and yeah, like a lot of things have weighed on me in the past, but it's just like not my focus. So, and there's so many other things. Like I have I know how to put my focus into something very well and eliminate distractions. So I just essentially do that. And so like when a weekend comes and there's going to be some pressure, that added those added layers of pressure. It's just I feel like this year it's only going to be better. I feel like I'm going to use that to channel my focus, and it's only going to make me focus harder. The more pressure, the more I focus. Um, and in that sense, pressure's good. So like as the years essentially, as what I'm saying is, as the years are changing, my perspective on pressure is changing, and it's almost as if like I can no longer even talk about it as a negative anymore,
Gotcha.
because it's it's just not a negative now. It's more of a positive, and I can channel it towards to help me grow
Mhm.
and have more success. And in terms of this year in confidence, like like it's every year, as long as everything goes well, it'll be a step up. So there will always be more pressure, and there'll always be different drivers and better drivers to beat. Um, but essentially, like it's almost like having so much confidence that to the point where I don't recognize or can't see my confidence. Like basically to where I don't think about it. I mean, that's just irrelevant to me because it's just like no matter how confident I am, I've got to do a certain thing in this corner and another thing in this corner. At the core of it, at the very base of it, and it'll be fine. It'll be totally fine.
Yeah. So look, let's tell the people a little bit about how you use that degree you got from Pace.
Yeah, it's I use it actually. I actually just got a gig. Well, I didn't just get a gig, but it turned into a real gig like a couple months ago. I was interning at this company called Coforce, which is the gig now that I have, that I actually work for now. No longer an intern. That's great. But yeah, I'm a content developer for them. So essentially, I go to the tracks. Like my first race was Texas Motor Speedway, and I go there and I have certain clients that that they have, and I shoot different whatever it is they have for me to shoot. Like it could be an Instagram reel, it can be an actual little short film they're making for their company. It could be a short snippet that they're putting on YouTube. It could be literally just basic interviews, um, and it could be scenics. It could be anything like that. I'm a content developer, and so right now I just use my degree. And when I'm not racing, sometimes I'll be at the track, not racing, and literally and doing that. Shooting race cars. Shooting the track, the environment. You see me sometimes walking around with the camera in my hand, I have my polo on and stuff. And that's what I'm doing right now. But eventually, I want to transition out of that, out of the motorsports industry for sure, and use my degree towards something more fashion, more apparel based. That's kind of where I want to pivot to.
All right. Good.
Okay.
Good.
And I'm seeing here someone just posted. Now, Myles, have all your social handles changed to @OceanBack MR? Because
Yes,
when I looked
besides
up,
my
I still saw something that was still Myles Rowe Racing. So
I'm looking for your
everything,
IG now.
but Facebook.
What's your
I'm pretty
Facebook.
IG?
sure. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's what I
Yeah.
thought.
So
Okay. Because
Instagram,
because
Twitter,
I only
LinkedIn.
have, yeah, I only have social. I have Facebook, LinkedIn. LinkedIn has Myles Ocean Rowe. And then
Okay, probably should.
Instagram.
Yeah, It probably shows it. I don't know how usernames work on LinkedIn.
Okay, so that's why I wanted to make sure because I copied them straight from the platform.
What's the IG?
IG is
Oh,
Ocean by MR,
okay, at Ocean
and then
Bay.
that's Twitter too.
Okay,
And
well,
then,
look, someone just corrected me that's in the house with me. They said everything is at Ocean by MR. So we're gonna go with her.
okay.
You know who I'm talking about. Uh, I ain't gonna call no name, but we're gonna go with
at
her.
Ocean
Okay.
by MR.
Yeah, at
Yeah,
Ocean
yeah,
by
by
MR.
MR.
All platforms. So I will go back and edit those in the comments after we
Okay.
get off.
Shout out to my manager.
Definitely. So look, so let's tell the people what they have to look forward to for next year, and then we'll be closing out.
Yeah, next year. I mean, it's gonna be fun. So essentially, like I said, USF 2000 was this year. The main switch is it's just pro. It's professional. USF Pro 2000 is the new name. We start in the beginning of March, and I'm pretty sure we end in the first week of September or something like that. Something similar to last year. Preseason starts in February. We have the series test in. I'm pretty sure it might be Holmes. No, it's in Sebring, Florida, this year.
Okay.
In the last week of February. And yeah, I'll be running with Paps Racing this year. Teammates with Jordan Missig. I don't know about Jace. Jace was my teammate last year. We'll see if he's going to be
Okay.
running with us or with maybe like exclusive auto sport or something like that. But yeah, it's going to be a fun season. I mean, the difference between this year and next year, I mean, besides the car being a little bit faster, I mean, it has some turbo and, bigger wings so it can go around the
Mm-hmm.
corners faster. It's the same chassis, but the tracks are a little bit different. We race at Lucas Oil. We do the oval there, but we do another oval as well in St. Louis. It's called
Okay.
Worldwide Technology Raceway is what it's called. So we'll be doing 2 ovals this year instead of 1, and that's the main difference in the schedule. And then also, unfortunately, we were just talking about how great it was for the fam to be in Birmingham, but that
Yeah.
race is no longer happening for our series anymore. They switched it, and now it's going to be a race in Sebring, Florida, which normally they do a lot of testing there, and they do the shorter layout in that track, but now they're doing the full layout, which only the sports car used to be able to run. So now open wheel cars can, I guess, run on the full layout of Sebring now, which they've never done before. So that'll be fun. So that's all
Okay.
the new things happening next year in terms of racing, and I think it'll be good. Our car, we have some balance issues with our car, some handling issues, but it's fast. The motor is super powerful, so we'll be there. We just have to work
Okay.
out a few kinks with it and testing, and
Cool.
as long as we do that, we'll be right with the pack, and it's definitely going to be a tougher season than last year. We had a really good package last year, and we executed really well. It's going to be tough, but it'll be fun. It'll be a solid season to watch. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
there'll be a lot
what
of.
about your car number? Is it gonna stay? Are you gonna keep the
No,
number
yeah, new
22?
car number. Well, not new, but new. 99 is the new car number again. So we switched it back.
Cool.
Yeah,
Good for you.
so Paps Racing number 99, Penske Entertainment car.
See, look, everything has been returned. Everything has been
Yeah,
returned.
yeah,
It
in a
has,
way,
and I
it
think that
has.
that is what's so awesome to me. And Miles, which I've said to you many times, you were put here to do this. This is one of the things you were put here to do because there have been so many obstacles to come up, and God just keeps making a way, making a way. As you said last year, we were like, okay, we got to make it the race for. It was each race step by step, and people just being so generous and helping out. So we thank you. I'm gonna thank you for his mother and father who have made many sacrifices. Trust me, uh, to keep him racing. And Miles has a big village, a very huge village that has grown. So we thank you for that. So Valton, any last words for you before we get Miles? Because what I want Miles to say in closing, Miles, I really want you to speak to our young people and just give them some encouragement if they want to pursue racing, something that they could do to just give them that lift that they could do it. Valton, you have any last words?
I'm just glad to know you, man. This has been awesome for me for a lot of reasons, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I think that you have spoken a word that we can play back and let our young people see this interview at our film camp in March of next year. So kudos to you, praying for your safety and all that you undertake, that God will be pleased.
Thank you. Yeah, to all the young people, old people, anybody listening. First of all, thank you for listening. I hope this shared some light on your day for sure, and some positivity. But most of all, I think the thing to take away from this is perseverance is something you have to keep in mind. You can never lose that. You said, my village, my support system, it's build your village, be conscientious of your village, and actually take care of it, pay a lot of attention to it. The more I've grown older, especially from 18 to 22, I realized how important relationships are for you and for your future, and for your well-being. So just do that, and just stay true to you and your loved ones. And yeah, I think everything will be fine.
That's a good word. That's a good word. So, Myles, thank you for coming on. I am so glad that your schedule finally got vacant enough for us to get you. Because Valton, we've been talking about this for what?
Yeah, for a while.
Forever.
Yeah.
And you all next week, barring no surprises.
We got the Burnells. Oh, wow.
We've been trying to get the Burnell band on.
Yeah, for a while.
Hey, third time would be a charm.
Third
so
time
we
was
look
a charm.
forward to that.
Yeah.
So Myles, again, thank you. Be safe. And hey, I'm getting ready to see you just go on up to the next level in this thing. Because we're going to get to Indy, and you're going to be dynamic and a winner there for sure.
Yep. Hold the line, Myles. Hold the line. Don't hang up.
Let me look in this chat box. Let me see. They said, I love this interview. God's protection, guidance, and provision for your journey. And Phyllis Fraser says she will see you in St. Pete, and she's gonna be trying to see you in Sebring. Look, and trust me, when she show up, she gonna have on all your gear. You can be assured. Her and her husband.
No, we love it. I love it when people wear merch. I love it. I love it.
And someone said, so proud of you, young man. That's someone else from Atmore too. Her name Eleanor Fisher. So you got a lot of hometown folks on here. So we thank everyone that has just tuned in tonight. This was phenomenal. And I was just so excited to have this moment that Myles, you and only a few other people would have me interrupt my vacation. Okay. So Auntie got much love for you. And I will be reaching out to your manager so we can get all your social media handles correct.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, well, you all you all have a good night, and hold on, Myles.
Hold on. Happy Veterans Day, and thank you, Valerie, for your service, and all who are listening. Thank you.
Okay, yes. I should have been thinking of that since I'm out on a veterans trip.
Yeah.
My head is clear. I've forgotten everything.